All right, and we're live.
So then the doctor was like, "You can't play with it," and I'm like, "Ruined my whole weekend." Like if I play with it, it gets worse. You know what I'm saying? Like what am I gonna do all weekend?
That's true. I mean, I would have said I would have been just as upset.
Yeah, just let me know when we're live. Or we're live.
I would have been just as upset.
Yeah, just let me know when we're live.
Okay. All right. Cool. So it does look like we're live now.
Right on.
Cool. All right. So let's see. We have one person watching, which I'm pretty sure is me, so I can watch the comments.
Right on. That's all we need is one person.
Yeah, that is true. We're already doing better than I thought we would.
I'll tweet this thing out.
Oh yeah, I'll tweet out the link too. That's a good idea.
It's Friday night. People got stuff to do.
They do. I don't know why. I mean, obviously we have nothing to do and we're important. So.
Oh man. And there's some good college football on we're missing too.
Oh, is there? What's the game on right now?
What is on right now? God, and I was just watching it too before we got on here. It was Syracuse Louisville is what it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is a good game.
Yeah. That was really good. Man, Lamar Jackson was really good. Real good in that game.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of good wide receivers soon, which is nice because the Chargers are going to need wide receivers. All right.
Yes.
Well, we have a second person watching, which isn't me. So I guess we could probably start now.
Hi, Mom. I just told her. Oh.
All right. So week 1 of the 2016 season, the Chargers are playing at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Broncos won last night, so the Chargers are already half a game behind it right now in the division.
Yep.
And if they lose tomorrow, it's a double whammy because it's against the Chiefs. So they get the overall loss and the division loss, which would suck.
Yeah, that would be bad. And, the Chargers weren't very good in the division last year, and it'd be nice to kind of set a tone when the Chiefs are kind of going to be shorthanded coming this Sunday too. So if they can take advantage and get a win here, that'd be huge going forward.
Yeah, I mean, they actually have the opportunity to be playing the Chiefs a little undermanned both at the beginning of the season and the end of the season because that's the last game they play too. And you figure there'll be some injuries. I mean, Jamal Charles is missing tomorrow, according to Andy Reid, and could very well be re-injured by the end of the season because it's Jamal Charles. So,
very well could.
Yeah, but with the Chargers' luck, the Chargers will probably be all battered by the end of the season too. So,
they're both going to go through injuries for sure. But that game also, yeah. I mean, if the Chiefs are as good as everybody thinks they are, and they're like a 10-11 win team, that might be that game like when the Chargers squeaked in the playoffs. Before they could be resting some players too. So they have a chance to face 2 shorthanded Chiefs at the beginning of the season and at the end of the season.
Yeah, it could be a repeat of the 2014 when they won to sneak into the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah, I was watching that game in Afghanistan, and that was very exciting to win that game.
That game was great. I think everybody remembers that game. That was a lot of fun to watch. By the way, I sound like crud, and I feel like dog shit. So sorry about my voice, but this feels like Jordan flu game. Like 1997, Michael Jordan has the flu in the playoffs. That's what it feels like right now.
You got to push through it.
Yeah, I'm gonna push through it, and we're gonna get through this thing for sure.
All right.
So you talked about Jamal Charles. What are the other injuries? We know Justin Houston.
So Justin Houston's on the PUP. He's definitely not playing. Jamal Charles is officially listed as doubtful, but Andy Reid said today don't expect him to play. The other injury that missed time this week was Tamba Hali, who's also on the defensive line, and he was limited on Wednesday. He missed practice on Thursday, was limited again today. And sorry, hold on, my wife's handing me dinner.
Oh, nice.
Excuse me. And so Tamba Ali, their defensive coordinator, said that he's not going to be officially on a pitch count, but don't expect him to play 70 snaps. And they have a plan for how they're going to rotate him in. So Tamba Ali won't be in the whole game, which is good for the Chargers because with Justin Houston out, D Ford is the starting outside linebacker on the other side, and then on Tamba Ali, his backup is going to be Frank Zombo.
So so when you look at this thing, you see that on the outside, you have they have Jay Howard there, and D Ford's going to be in there, and then of course without Justin Houston and Tamba Ali, on a pitch count. Frank Zombo and D Ford, if you're Ken Wisenhunt, you're looking to break some plays off the edge because they're obviously weak on the edge right now, having both starters out. And I think this is the kind of game for Melvin Gordon that could set him up for the season because you've got two stout run defenders. We're not even talking about their pass rushing skills, but just in terms of run defenders, those are two very good run defenders. And to have Houston out and then to have Tom Ali kind of flipped in and out, look for Melvin Gordon. He could have a huge game. We're not going to touch on fantasy, but if you got Melvin Gordon in fantasy, I'd start him this week. Yeah,
exactly. And with Hunter Henry providing that better blocking on the edge now as well against the D Ford and the Zombos. And with how much Gordon likes to get to the outside, Gordon doesn't even like going inside that much. And Dontari Poe is obviously really stout for them at nose. But, I'd expect to see a lot of outside runs targeting the edges there. And Hunter Henry is going to very quickly start to pay dividends.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think this is set up for Melvin Gordon to just go off. And it'd be so good for him to get one good game in and then just set a tone, for the rest of the season. And this is just the perfect time to do it. On the other side, when you're talking about Jamal Charles, I don't think a lot of people see that and see he's one of the best running backs in the game and they're going to be able to take advantage. But I don't see right now Jamal Charles coming off two major surgeries. In his career right now today, I don't see the drop-off from Spencer Ware and Jamal Charles being that big right now. So I don't see that as a big plus for the Chargers. Sure, Jamal Charles is exciting. The name is electric. But Spencer Ware carved this defense up last year. This is a very, very good running back. So, and he's really, really good at setting up his blocks. So when I was watching the game last year, Spencer Ware was he was basically the puppet master. He was waiting in the holes, and Denzel Perryman was filling his gap. He was shooting the gap, attacking line of scrimmage. And then you saw Manti Te'o laying back, and Ware just sat back and waited for the offensive lineman to get to the second level and block him, and it was over. If Manti Te'o is going to sit back and stay idle and not come in and attack line of scrimmage, Ware's going to eat him alive. So I think between the difference between Charles and Ware, I don't think it's a huge drop off. I think Charchandrick West and Spencer Ware are going to have themselves a game.
Yeah, the one point in the running game that I agree with is that it's not a huge drop-off as far as their running backs, but on the other side, the Chargers have a big upgrade moving from the rotation of Ryan Carruthers and Sean Lissamore up to Mebane. That will definitely help. And the Chiefs' offensive line definitely isn't their strong suit. Their offensive line isn't their strong suit. And so it'll be interesting to see if West still has the same success that he had last year, with adding Mebane to the mix and with how far Phylon has come on, and with the front seven, at least on paper, is improved. So it will definitely. I wouldn't expect West to pop off for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns again, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does happen.
Yeah, you're right about the offensive line. They're starting our boy, actually, Parker Iyinger at left guard, the guy we talked about during the draft show. So they got a rookie playing left guard. But other than that, I mean, they picked up Mitchell Schwartz in the offseason, I remember. And, he was a good tackle for the Browns. Eric Fisher got that big contract, but I've never seen anything from Eric Fisher to say he deserved that type of contract. So I think you're right. I mean, the offensive line isn't as strong, but I think that the Chargers are going to have a hard time containing Ware. And look, Mebane is such a big upgrade, and I love the addition of Mebane. So we'll see how Mebane matches up against this, the rookie, especially inside, because you've got Mitch Morris, who was like the story of last season. Nobody knew who this kid was, and he showed out last year. So it'd be nice to see a second-year player against Brandon Mebane and see if he can take advantage of that, and then Parker Iyinger too. So it'll be something. But I think fans who are thinking that the drop-off from Ware to Charles is so big that you can mark this as a win is mistaken. I'm just saying, I just like to point out that this isn't that big of a difference. This is still a really good running back. Maybe the Chargers do. I don't think he goes out for 150. I think you're right about that, but I think we need to cool the jets on, Spencer Ware just being a scrub. He's a backup running back. No, he's still a really good running back.
Yep. I'll totally agree with that.
Yeah.
One of the other matchups that'll be interesting to look at too is I was just reading over on the Chiefs site that Andy Reid apparently loves all three of their tight ends and has been running a ton of 3 tight end sets in practice and in the preseason, and has been looking forward to unleashing that in the game. So that will be very interesting to watch, because we already know that Manti Te'o isn't great in coverage, and even as good as Denzel Perryman hasn't been, stellar in pass coverage. So I think we might get our wish and get to see a good, healthy amount of Dexter McCoy if they continue to run those 3 tight end sets, and maybe even some Jatavis Brown getting some action early to try and match up against all those tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, you'd hope so. I think Travis, Alex Smith loves Travis Kelce, and he's a good tight end. And I think these linebackers are going to have a lot of trouble, especially Perriman and Te'o. So if they're running a lot of 2-3 tight end sets, you have to put McCoy in. You have to put in Jatavis Brown, because those two can cover tight ends. Yep. The inside linebacker, there isn't another inside linebacker on this roster that can cover a Travis Kelce other than Jatavis Brown. And then putting a big body like Dexter McCoy, who was dominating tight ends in camp and looked good in preseason. I mean, that's the matchups you'd like to see. If it's Manti Te'o left on an island or Denzel Perryman left on an island, it's Travis Kelce's going to go for 100 yards. Easy.
Oh, easy. And multiple touchdowns.
Yeah. So I would hope that Jatavis gets some playing time. I know that he didn't get a ton of looks in preseason. He only played the 4th preseason game, but I'd love to see Jatavis get some looks in cover, especially in like obvious passing downs. Nothing too confusing for the kid to bring him on slowly. But if you brought him in, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 situations, bring on McCoy and bring on Jatavis and say, here's your guy. I think it would benefit both of them.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you saw what Kyle Rudolph, who isn't the most athletic tight end, he burned Te'o for that touchdown, and it was close. So they're only going to have to do something and bring in those 2 guys to try and match up against that.
That was ugly too, because that's Manti Te'o's only read. I mean, he's got the seam, and when Kyle Rudolph is there, that's his man. He doesn't have to worry about anything else. No other wide receivers streaking across the middle. That's his guy. He's got to cover the seam, and just to sit there and let him drop a pass over the top of him it was really confusing. So even when he knows his assignments, he isn't great in coverage. So, I do hope that Jatavis and McCoy do get some looks.
Yep. And I do think that, that the past couple of years, wide receiver definitely hasn't been a strong suit for Kansas City. And with the 3 corners that the Chargers are putting out there with Brandon Flowers, Jason Verrett, and Casey Hayward, I think it is going to come down to their offense revolving around those tight ends and handoffs to West, because excuse me, I just don't see I don't even see Jeremy Maclin having more than 70 yards against this offense. I mean, against this defense.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get a ton of catches, but yeah, I don't think he racks up the yards, but that'll be interesting too, because it'd be nice to see Casey Hayward in the slot covering Kelce most of the game. I mean, that would be ideal. If you put Brett on Maclin, and then you had, I think their other wide receiver is Chris Conley, right? The kid from Georgia.
Yeah,
I think so. either him or Albert Wilson, whoever, if they run those wide receivers out there, if Brandon Flowers is on them, you've got Casey Hayward covering Travis Kelce in the slot. I mean, that's ideal for this defense.
Yep. And then on the offensive, when the Chargers are on offense, it's the line is going to look a lot different than it looked last year because they're fine. All the starters are finally healthy. Matt Slauson is now in there, who's going to really help mitigate Dontari Poe. I wouldn't say that he dominates him or maybe even comes out even in the game, but it's way better than anything the Chargers trotted out at center last year. And with all the other offensive linemen healthy, I think it's going to be on paper, this is a different game than either of the games last year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think Slauson has his work cut out for him because he's got Dontari Poe going against him. So, I think the thing that I like about Slauson is his communication at the line of scrimmage. And if they send a bunch of I think Slauson is the one guy who's going to be a guy and be able to take care of his family. If the rest of the line can do that, remains to be seen. But, Slauson, I'm not worried about. The interior of the offensive line, the guard play, and specifically the left side of the line between Dunlap and Franklin is going to be interesting because they're going to go against Jay Howard. And, he's a pretty good pass rusher. So how they contain him. And then Chris Jones. The rookie. I mean, he was so good in college, and he looked good in preseason. So, I mean, because Houston's out, he's out, Eric Berry hasn't played, but he still has some pass rushers. The offensive line has got a lot of work to do.
All right. Sorry. So everyone's saying that we're getting a little bit of an echo here. Let's see. Let me try this. All right, we'll see if that improves things at all. Okay.
Let's see. Does it improve it? Are you getting echo?
I'm still not getting an echo. Hey, throw in the comments, guys. Is there still a really bad echo? David says it's just coming from you.
For me?
Yeah.
So then it's on your side, right?
Okay, he's saying it's better now.
Okay, good.
Okay, cool.
Good.
All right, let me try this too. Okay. Thanks, guys, for letting us know.
Yeah.
So the other thing that'll be really interesting, so the Chargers lost both of the games last year, but the Chargers did not have Keenan Allen for either of the Chiefs games last year. And as we know, Phillip is almost a different quarterback when Keenan Allen is on the field. So that will be a huge improvement. I mean, it was bad last year, the wide receiver play against the Chiefs. I was looking at the stats, and combining the two games, Javonte Herndon was the leading receiver for the Chargers. It was that bad. So having Keenan Allen, Travis Benjamin, Tyrell Williams, it's going to look like a different offense on the outside compared to the games last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Marcus Peters is a stud. We know that. He's a Pro Bowler. I mean, I loved him during the draft. I think you did too. I think we were talking about it during the draft show. But Marcus Peters is an animal. So they've got one really, really good corner. And their second corner, they actually lost to free agency, Sean Smith. So, they're taking a drop-off with Phillip Gaines, who I think is maybe like a CB3 or 4, has now moved up to a starting cornerback. And, we'll kind of see how he fares throughout the season. But it's going to be interesting. I think – if you're looking for anybody to have a really big game, it's going to be the tight ends.
Yeah.
Because you've got like a 32-year-old Derek Johnson, and then Justin March is the other inside linebacker, and I think he missed all of last year. So he's kind of an unknown. He was an undrafted free agent. So they're really weak in the inside linebacker core. So the middle of the field is where the Chargers are going to win this game.
Not only that, but you got Eric Berry coming back off an injury. He's only been practicing a couple weeks not an injury. He had cancer, but he's coming back off missing last year. Plus there was a contract dispute and he held out for a good portion of camp. So he's coming back, he hasn't been practicing all that long. And then I don't even remember the other safety's name.
Ron Parker.
Yeah. So their secondary can definitely be attacked. I mean, they have as pretty close to an elite front seven as you can get when they're all healthy, but their secondary isn't great.
Yeah, yeah. So I think Keenan's going to have a big game, of course. I think Gates is going to have a huge game. And I think, and if we do bold predictions here, I think Hunter Henry's going to be the third leading receiver on this team in receiving yards. Like, I just think.
Just for this game or for the whole season?
Yeah, no, I just mean for this game. I'm saying because they're so weak in the middle of the field that when they run that 12 personnel and they get 2 tight ends out there, I mean, I think Hunter Henry and Gates are going to get some really, really favorable matchups. So if you can get those two one-on-one with a guy like Derek Johnson or get, a rusty Eric Berry or even Justin Marsh, who hasn't played a bunch, they're going to get some really favorable matchups. So I think Hunter Henry is actually going to be the third leading receiver on Sunday. I think he's going to have a big game.
I would buy into that too. That's a good bold prediction. I could stand behind that.
I don't know if that's very bold, but
well, if you ask fantasy people, it is. I think in all of my fantasy drafts, Hunter Henry was basically unranked, and I think most fantasy engines are projecting him to get like 2 points this week. So, Frank the Tank asked if we think Peters will shut down Keenan Allen, and I think we both agree that no. Like, I don't think anybody really shuts down Keenan Allen now that he's healthy, and especially with everything that we've seen and heard through the offseason. I mean, he looked great in practice, and with McCoy and Ken Wisenhunt coming out, especially Ken Wisenhunt, that's the one that I thought was the most interesting because he had some time away from Keenan Allen. And he said coming back and seeing how Keenan has prepared this offseason and how he approaches practice, he said it's night and day from his rookie year. He said he can tell how much Keenan cares now and how much effort he's putting into, his footwork and watching tape, and just he said it's like a different person. So I think that I think that it's going to be a huge wake up for the Chiefs defense to have not played him at all last year and now have him come in, and I just don't see anybody shutting him down.
Yeah. Plus, I don't see him shifting around and covering Keenan the whole game. Anyway, I mean, Peters is just kind of, man the left side, and anybody that comes over there, he's going to guard. So, I think Wiz is going to get Keenan, Frank Reich did it, and it looked great early on to get him, left side, right side, even playing in the slot, especially in the middle of the field. His footwork is so dangerous when you get him on the island in the middle of the field. So, no, I would say no, he definitely doesn't shut him down. And, I think Keenan and Antonio Gates are going to have the most yards, and then I think Hunter Henry's number 3. So, no, I don't think he shuts him down at all.
Yeah, while I don't think he shuts him down, I would not be surprised to see him get an interception.
That kid's got a nose for the football.
He's got a nose for the football. And Rivers, he didn't look super sharp in his snaps in the preseason. So I could easily see Peters getting a pick, but no, he doesn't shut him down.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And we were talking about offensive line, but I want to touch on it again. But they have Parker Iyinger, playing guard, and then their other guard is like Devarney Tardif or something. Some guy I'd never heard of. I watched one of the preseason games, during the third preseason games, to see how he looked. Okay. And those two guards are weak. I mean, you've got a rookie playing one, and then you've got just a guy that I've never heard of, and maybe he looked good in other games, but that game he did not look good at all. So I think between Corey Liuget and now Darius Philon, I think they could be primed for a pretty good game too, because there's some weak guard play on that Chiefs offensive line when I watched the third preseason game. And, it's a small sample size, but first off, Parker Iyinger is a rookie, so you're going to want to test him regardless. And then Devarney Tardif is new to the league. Maybe he's I don't know. I thought he was always depth, but as far as I thought. But
well, I'm looking at their depth chart right now, and I'm just realizing they kept 4 tight ends and 4 tight ends, 4 running backs, and 6 wide receivers. So they went super light on offensive line. They only kept 8 offensive linemen. And so they've got.
Is that Devarney Tardif, the starting right guard?
Yeah, and then they have Zach Fulton as both backup guards and the backup center.
Oh.
So
yeah, that ain't good. See, that's another thing. If there's an injury on that offensive line, the Chiefs are in trouble.
Yeah, it is going to crumble real fast, especially if that injury is Mitch Morse, and now you've got Zach Fulton and Parker Iyinger, and oh man, if Mitch Morse goes down, Mebane's having a game.
Yeah, so I think, the Chargers defensive ends are primed to have a pretty good game, or at least they could take advantage of some weak guard play from the Chiefs. I mean, this is a step down on their offensive line. And I liked Parker Reininger coming in college. You loved him.
Yeah.
But early on in the season, this is where you can start picking on the kid. I mean,
yeah, especially if Pagano, finally comes out and carries on his creativity from the preseason into the beginning of the season for once, and has some of those sets where they move Ingram inside and then have Atachu stacked outside of him. Oh man, Ingram on either of those guards would be game over.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that Darius Philon can put on a show on Sunday because he needs it. I mean, he's been fairly quiet in the preseason. And I was excited to see him, and I hope when real game time comes around, he's going to look pretty good because he's got 2 weak guard play, like I said. Inger and Devarney Tardif. I think is it Laurent?
Laurent Devarney Tardif.
Yeah, so his name sucks, so he should be able to take him at the time. Laurent Devarney Tardif. Jesus.
Yeah, it's a good thing he's an offensive lineman. I mean, I don't think a wide receiver would have shoulders big enough to put that name on a jersey.
Yeah. So, we know what Alex Smith is going to do. The thing that I'm curious to see is what Pagano does because watching the games, John Pagano decided to drop back in his zone the majority of the time in defense, and that's where Alex Smith is just going to pick you apart. I mean, he's going to dink and dunk you to death. I mean, it's going to be a slow death. It's like a death by 1,000 paper cuts, that kid. So if you're going to drop back in his zone and just let him drop passes in, 4 or 5 yards, I mean, he's not going to get big bunch plays, Right. So I just hope that Pagano has learned that soft zone isn't going to work with Alex Smith. Sure, it can work with other quarterbacks when you want a rookie quarterback or some quarterback that's mobile to beat you with his arm. But Alex Smith is very accurate, within 1 to 10 yards. So if you're going to drop back in his zone, he's going to kill you. And that falls right with their game plan. That's all they want to do. They want to dink and dunk you to death for 7, and then they've already eaten up 5 or 6 minutes on the clock. So if Pagano can finally get it together and say, let's send the house, let's at least get aggressive early on, and then maybe show some different exotic looks, I think he'll have some problems because that's all Alex Smith does. I mean, if you put pressure on him, he's not going to be able to survive. But if you give him space and time to operate, he's going to kill you.
Yeah, and the past couple of games too, even with running that soft zone and most of the time having somebody spy Alex Smith, he's broken off a lot of rushing yards against the Chargers. I mean, it seems like every time they have a 3rd and long, Alex Smith winds up picking it up with his feet. So I hope Pagano, has watched a lot of tape this time around and figured it out, and comes in with a solid game plan to contain Alex Smith, both with those short passes and with his running ability, because he's definitely not going to be the most mobile quarterback they face this season. So if Alex Smith is ripping off chunk yardage for first downs, look out when they're playing the Panthers.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, so that's another thing too. I mean, these outside linebackers are going to have to contain the edge big time, especially with a rushing quarterback like Alex Smith. So they got to stay with their assignments, and they got to be disciplined, especially with this quarterback.
Yeah, it's going to be really big. It's going to be a really big test for both Kyle Emanuel and Jerry Atachu and Melvin Ingram on the edge. I mean, they were terrible at containment last year, and they didn't look that much better in preseason this year. So it's going to be kind of scary to see. I mean, because especially in the Titans game, that a lot of times Pagano is putting people out of position to make contain. That really long touchdown run that Murray had, they sent Kyle Emanuel on the inside because they were blitzing the corner from the slot and expecting the corner coming in on that blitz to have containment. And so the play was completely ruined from the get-go. Kyle Emanuel didn't even have a chance to contain because he was purposefully stunted inside with Pagano expecting Casey Hayward to contain against a tight end and a tackle, and that's just not going to happen. Yeah.
I mean, I think on the left side, I think Ingram will have a pretty good game. I mean, I don't, like I said earlier, I don't think Eric Fisher is anything special. I mean, he was the number one pick and everything, and they gave him a big contract in the offseason. I couldn't understand why, but I think, I think on the other side, depending on who it's going to be, they'll have some problems with Mitchell Schwartz because he's a good tackle. But whoever's going up against Eric Fisher can have himself a day, especially with the speed rush. So if you're putting Ingram up against Fisher, I think, again, you're going to be able to take advantage of some favorable matchups.
Yeah, and the other thing that'll be interesting to watch on defense too is when they go into nickel and their love affair with these two down lineman sets, if that continues to look as awful as it did in the preseason, because they just couldn't do anything on the ground. Like if the Chiefs can get the Chargers defense into nickel, West could have another 150-yard rushing game because they just weren't doing anything when they went to that two down lineman nickel formation. So I hope they've kind of figured something out there.
I loathe that package. That two down lineman is my least favorite thing that Pagano has ever done since he's been here, to be honest. I mean, the Chargers just don't have the personnel to do that.
No, not even close.
They have Brandon Mebane now, so they're at least closer, but they still don't have two big bodies to eat up space. I mean, who's the next guy? Darius Philon, Corey Leggett? I mean, they're not suited to do the two down lineman set. So
and even worse is the two outside linebackers they bring up to the line. I don't think we have an outside linebacker on the active roster that's over 260 pounds, and that's just not going to do anything out there. I mean, once Bosa comes back, it might look a little better because then at least you'll have one body out there who's 270 pounds plus. But I mean, it's just that I agree with you. That's my least favorite package that this defense has. And with how much teams are in the nickel now, especially the Chargers, I'm really worried that that's going to, create some opportunities for them on the ground.
Yeah. I'm with you. I hate that package, and I hope they don't do it. I mean, obviously, you can't be stale and run the same, 3-4 down linemen back to back to back. But I mean, there's other ways to get across without that two down linemen because they don't have the personnel. They just don't do it. So you might as well just throw it out. Sure, you can sprinkle it in from time to time, but shit, I mean, they ran that like 30% of the time last year. That thing was ugly.
Yeah,
they ran it way too much. If they're going to run it, at least cut that in half, if not like a third.
All right, so we got two more questions in here we can touch on. So we kind of touched on it earlier, but Joseph is asking our thoughts on our secondary versus their wide receiving core. And we kind of touched on it earlier. We don't see their tight ends are going to wind up with more receiving yards than their wide receivers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's both sides of the ball from the Chargers and the Chiefs. Whoever wins in the middle of the field is going to win this game. I mean, this is where one of these teams is going to win this game, in the middle of the field. Both teams don't have the coveraging linebackers. They both have stud tight ends. And I think the Chargers are favored because they have two stud tight ends because, I mean, the other tight end was like Demetrius Harris or something.
So they've got Demetrius Harris and Ross Travis are the second and third tight ends.
Yeah, so with Henry and Gates, at least the Chargers have the advantage in 12 personnel. So I think they could take advantage of that. And that's why I think Henry could have a really big game. Yeah. And I'd like to see some increase in snaps from Henry because he wasn't in a lot during training camp and preseason. So, I think for the most part, I think the Chargers, I almost said ours and we can't do. The Chargers corners are much better. I mean, we talked about earlier that they have Marcus Peters, who's a stud, but Jason Brett's also a stud. But the Chiefs have Phillip Gaines as their second corner, and then I think it goes like Steven Nelson or something, the rookie Steven Nelson. So there's a big drop off. They lost Sean Smith,
and Phillip Gaines isn't even 100% healthy. I mean, he was on their injury report, but they didn't give him a designation. Like he was, had some full and limited participation during the week, but he would have been in what in previous years would be called probable, but they got rid of probable this year. So he's not 100% and he's not great to begin with. So it's definitely advantage Chargers there.
Yeah. I think the corner play is definitely better on the Chargers end. I think the safety play is better on the Chiefs end, obviously. I mean, even with a rusty Eric Berry who hasn't played and had that contract dispute, I mean, he's still Eric Berry. Ron
exactly.
Ron Parker's still a above average safety. So I think, in the back end, I think the Chiefs win that matchup. But I think it's one in the middle of the field anyway.
Yep.
So I think it's who can match up better and has the better packages against both tight end sets. For the Chiefs, are the Chargers going to run a Jatavis Brown, a Dexter McCoy when they have two tight ends, or are they going to run Casey Hayward in the slot, or are they going to let Manti Te'o roam, or Denzel Perryman take it? I mean, that obviously you want the first better than last, and then what are the Chiefs going to do? I mean, Derek Johnson's in his early 30s, and then Justin Marsh we talked about earlier it missed all of last season, and he had a pretty good camp, but still, I mean, he's a big unknown too. So how are they going to match up too? Because they're very thin on the corner, like we said. So what are they going to do? I mean, when they run 12 personnel, the Chargers run 12 personnel, and they got Gase and Henry. Who's going to cover who?
Yeah, and their outside linebackers are not coverage linebackers by any means. I mean, you put D Ford on either Hunter Henry or Antonio Gates, and it's game over. That's first downs, touchdowns all day.
And I think that's on both sides. I don't think the Chargers have really good coverage outside linebackers either. So
they don't. Yeah, like Melvin Ingram, occasionally finds himself in the right position and can make a play, but
he should never be in coverage.
Yeah, well, and although if Pagano, hasn't evolved from last year, he will be in coverage. What do we find out? Ingram dropped into coverage on just over a third of his snaps last year, which was beyond ridiculous.
Yeah, and we saw him covering Stephon Diggs in Minnesota. So, who knows? I hope that Pagano was just running that to give a different look, and then he changes it up when the games count. But still, I mean, I think the Chargers have the advantage with their DBs. Even if the Chiefs have the best or the better safety duo, I think with the Chargers three corners and with a guy like Jatavis Brown or Dexter McCoy, I think they could win that matchup. And I think if they do, they could win this game.
Yeah. I mean, so we put out that article earlier, and I'm sure some of you watching Reddit read the article, and we all kind of gave our projections. And I mean, I think it was 13 out of 18 of the people on the staff here predicted the Chargers losing, but I think maybe 2 of those 13 projected a blowout. Like, all of us were calling 1-score games either way, and it's going to be a close game. And like you said, it'll come down to something like who does better over the middle to decide who's going to win this game.
Yeah, I didn't see yours. Who did you have winning?
I had the Chargers. I had the Chargers winning, but I had it 24-23.
Oh man, okay.
So, it's going to be a really close game. I just, like most of us said, it's really hard to have a gauge on how they're going to perform because we saw the ones on both sides so few and far between in the preseason that, and with some of these new pieces coming in, it's really hard to have a good gauge on the team right now. I mean, well, and not only did we rarely see the ones on offense and defense, but they were running preseason offense and defense play calls. So we don't know. We don't really have a good idea of what this team is going to look like. On paper, they're a better team, but are they really? Are they going to live up to that? Is Wisenhunt going to, bring the offense back? It's just there's too many questions to be super sure on this first game. So it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. A lot of the experts all have the Chiefs winning the division, but I don't see them running away with this game by any means.
No, I don't think so either. I think it'll be a competitive game. I mean, with Ken Wisenhunt, I don't know if this offensive level goes stale like it did last year. And I don't think they're going to get blown out a ton either. And I think this will be a close game. I actually had the Chiefs winning this game, but I think it could easily go either way. And it's not that I'm being overly negative or hating on the Chargers, but I think, with the Chargers' run defense, who hasn't looked great in preseason, and with a guy like Spencer Ware, I think the Chargers are going to have fits, and they did last year, and I think they could again. I know that they have different personnel, and Brandon Meebane's there, but I thought the red zone offense didn't look good in preseason, and I think that the Chargers are going to settle for a couple field goals when they should punch it in. So that's why I ended up giving them a loss. I think by 6 or 7, maybe 8. But yeah, it was a 1-score game for me too. But this definitely is going to be a close game. I mean, they're not going to get blown out. And I get wow.
Sorry, my bad.
That's upsetting. That's upsetting that I I said the Chargers would win. But, yeah, it's going to be a close game. I get Justin Houston's out, and I get Tom Bolly's going to get shuffled in and out. And I know that Derek Bears hasn't played. But, I think this is a talented team. And it's in Kansas City. And, Andy Reid's a good coach. And this is a 10-11 win team, even, with Justin Houston out a number of games. I think this is a good coach team. And it's definitely going to be difficult, especially being in Arrowhead on an opener.
Yeah.
Too.
All right, let's get to some bold predictions. So you already gave one. You already gave Hunter Henry being, what did you say, the third leading receiver on the team?
Yeah, behind Keenan and Antonio Gates. So he's going to beat out, Benjamin and Tyrell or Inman. That's going to be something too. Who's going to be the wide receiver 3? Is it going to be Tyrell? Yeah. It better be.
I hope so.
But they've been running Dontrell out there especially the third preseason game. They've been kind of flip-flopping him, but Dontrell's got the majority of the stats with the ones.
Yep.
So I'll be curious about that.
Yes, that will be something to watch. I think one of the bold predictions I had is I think so in both of the games last year, the Chargers didn't get over 60 yards rushing. And as we know, Melvin Gordon did not have a rushing touchdown. I think my bold prediction is Melvin Gordon is going to get over 60 yards rushing by himself. I wouldn't quite call 100 yards, but I think he gets over that 60 rushing yards by himself and gets a touchdown.
Yeah, I got when we did the podcast, somebody asked if I thought Melvin Gordon or Keenan Allen would get the first touchdown, and I said Melvin Gordon. I think because of the the weakness on that front, the Chiefs front, I think Gordon's probably have a good game, especially on the outside. I mean, I think Ken Wisenhunt can eat. Melvin Gordon can eat on the outside if he pops some runs off over each edge. So I think Melvin Gordon scores a touchdown. I don't know if it's a bold prediction that he's going to rush more than 60 yards. I mean, that's easy.
So last year, in both of the games last year, he did not get over 36 rushing yards. So he would be doubling his rushing production in either of the games last year.
He had some bad games.
Yeah, the team as a whole had bad games. In one of the games, Rivers was the second leading rusher with 9 rushing yards.
Yeah,
so they just didn't do crap on the ground.
I think the player of the game, and we're just doing bold predictions, so I can throw a couple things out there. But I think Jason Verrett is the player of the game in this game. I think he at least gets one interception because I think they're going to test Jason Verrett. And Alex Smith did early last game, and he ended up getting an interception. But I think they're going to try to go to Macklin often and try to establish something other than their tight ends. And he's going to force a ball or two, and Jason Verrett's going to get at least one pass breakup, but I think he gets an interception too. So I think he ends up blocking down Jeremy Macklin. If you have Jeremy Macklin in fantasy, that sucks for you. But I think Jason Verrett, he makes a slow day for Macklin almost all game.
I'll agree with that. I think Verrett is definitely going to have a good game. I'm not really worried about his calf injury. I mean, I guess he was limited again today and had a sleeve on it, but I don't think that's going to stop him at all. Let's see. We both gave bold predictions on offense. Let's come up with a bold prediction on defense each.
Okay, I said Jason Verrett. So
okay, that's right. So you did.
I got.
Is that your bold prediction?
I think so. I mean, he's going to be the player of the game. Melvin Gordon's going to score a touchdown, and Hunter Henry's going to be the third on the chart in receiving yards. But yet, Jason Verrett's going to be the player of the game. Okay. Because he's going to shut down Macklin. He's going to get a pick and at least one pass breakup. Because I think Alex Smith, he's not going to hurt you, but he cannot try to throw to Travis Kelce all game. And if the Chargers do some kind of push up front and take advantage of a weak guard play and stop Ware early, he's going to have to start forcing balls to Macklin because Conley is not a dependable target. I mean, he's not a dependable wide receiver too at all. And he's stretch imagination. And he's more of a guy that's going to stretch the field. And I don't know if he's going to be able to do that on Sunday. So I think Alex Smith is going to have to force some balls, and he's going to have to try to get his quote-unquote star wide receiver, Jeremy Macklin, some catches. And, he's going to have a lot of catches, not a ton of yards, but I think Jason Verrett's going to end up getting an interception.
All right. I think my bold prediction for defense is, as a team, they come away with 3 sacks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think Mebane gets one.
Ooh, a patch rush from the zero tech. I like that. Finally.
I think Mebane gets a sack, and then I think between Phylon, Ingram, Emanuel, and Atauchu together, they get 2 more. So I'm going with 3 sacks on defense.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, we talked about the weak guard play. We know that Eric Fisher isn't, a world beater. He's a very average tackle.
Yeah.
Mitchell Schwartz will hold his own on the right side. But, I think they could take advantage of some matchups through the B gap or through the A gap, B gap, and then on the outside. I mean, I think Mitch Morris will be able to hold his own. I mean, he looked pretty good last year. But these guards and Eric Fisher, there's going to be some matchups I'm going to be curious to see. And I think they can get a sack or 2. I think that's fair.
Yeah. Cool. So I guess we didn't get very bold, but we did have bold-ish predictions.
Sure. Why not? I mean, who would think that Hunter Henry would be 3rd in receiving yards, right?
Oh, not anyone outside of San Diego, that's for sure. And even people within San Diego, it's probably only a few of us that have that much faith.
Kind of bold, yeah. Definitely.
Cool.
All right, we got anything else, or are we
All right, does anybody have anybody watching have any last-minute questions? And I agree, Timothy, that I think the West is going to be extremely competitive this year. I don't think anybody is locked in as going to be running away with the division. I mean, watching the Broncos last night, they won the game, but I don't know if Trevor Siemian's starting when they play the Chargers week 6.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta wonder how short that leash is for Siemian. They drafted Paxton Lynch in the 1st round. I mean, he's breathing down his neck. So yeah, we'll kind of see how long they let him flounder a little bit. But again, that defense is so good that they can single-handedly help them win games. So you just gotta limit turnovers.
So Frank the Tank asks, how many times does Derek Watt miss a block?
Ooh, God.
If it's like the preseason, at least 50% of the time. Well, actually, no. He wasn't. That's the thing. He wasn't missing blocks.
He wasn't sustaining blocks.
He wasn't sustaining them, and he wasn't moving anyone. He basically would get into the hole, and then him and the linebacker or safety would just kind of hug and stand there.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what we were kind of talking about in camp. I mean, he's like everybody was talking him up, and I'm rooting for the kid. We don't want anybody to fail on this team.
Right.
We're Charger fans first most, and then pretty much Riders second. But we want him to succeed, but he's not the bruiser. He's not a guy that's going to knock anybody over or clear lanes. He's going to basically catch block you, and for the most part, he's not going to sustain those blocks. And guys are going to get off it and still make a tackle, and that's troublesome for a guy whose sole job is just to get out there and block a guy.
Yep.
If he's not blocking guys, then he's not doing his job. And I hope that he does well and he sustains those blocks in the regular season. But through camp and through preseason, he was hitting his blocks. He knew his assignments. It's like he was really good in the playbook. But then when he got out there, he saw his man, ran at him, and then would block him for a good 2 seconds, and then they would just be able to disengage and get the tackle. So. Yep. I think that he will miss a couple, and I think he's going to have some growing pains. I really do. I mean, he didn't look great in preseason. I mean, there were flashes. I mean, there was a couple times where he did open some holes, but
he definitely blew open a hole for Chris Swain to get that touchdown. And, I mean, I'll give him that. That was a good block. But those were definitely the exception to the rule. Like that definitely wasn't the standard for his blocks.
Right. The majority of his reps were, below average. And, you saw Bleacher Report ranked those fullbacks, and he was at the very bottom. So,
anybody who missed that article, they did the ranking of 1,000 players in the NFL, and Derek Watt was literally the last ranked fullback behind a couple of fullbacks that aren't on teams right now.
Yeah, free agent. I mean, I think he got like a 63 or 64 grade out of 100. So, so even national media doesn't see a ton of upside with Watt yet, or at least his play so far. I mean, look, he could work it out and figure it out. But the positive is that he didn't show it, but he's a good pass catcher, and he was better than Swain. That was the one thing he had better than Swain in spades was his pass catching, and he doesn't know his assignments. It's not that he's going to completely whiff on a block. He's going to fall over on his face, and we're seeing a Trevor Robinson at the fullback position. He will at least hit his man. Whether he sustains the block and carries it out through the whole play is another thing. But he does know where he needs to go. And those are some positives. But for the most part, I mean, he was just below average.
Yep. All right. So the next question we have here is Emanuel going to have a breakout year? I think if he stays healthy, I think he could. He was scaring me a little bit with containment still, but I think if he stays healthy, he has a chance to definitely, show some pretty good improvement over last year.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get the snaps because he's starting over Tauchu now. But, he didn't do anything with his reps in preseason or in camp. He got one batted ball at the line. But other than that, I mean, he got maybe a handful of tackles, maybe. I mean, he wasn't impressive at all. I mean, even though Ingram didn't get a bunch of sacks or anything, he did look quick off the edge, and he showed a good spin move and a good arm over move, and he looked good in run support at times. So he did show. Ingram showed flashes. Emanuel, and I'm a huge Kyle Emanuel. I'm rooting for him more than anybody, but he just did not show it in preseason. So I hope so. I do hope so, but it is interesting because the fact that he jumped to Tauchu says a lot about what this staff thinks of him. I mean, they think there's some real big potential with this kid. And look, I think the containment thing will come. He was really good last year during the season of being able to contain the edge, and he was like the one guy you knew that Kyle Emanuel would never hurt you. He would always be in position. He would miss a couple tackles, but he's always in position to make those plays. And I think it's still going to be that, but now he's got to carry it out and make those plays. He can't keep missing tackles. He's got to secure the edge. When he's near the quarterback, he's got to bring him down. Like a couple times he was like running past them and he'd dive at their feet. And he's got to finish plays now. And he's got to put that. Yeah, I mean, he's primed to have a big year because he's going to have starter minutes. But if preseason is any indication, he didn't look great. So I'm hoping.
I'll buy that. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that he wasn't always on the field with all the rest of the starters, and that it was there was some unique play calling, like I said, that didn't exactly set him up for success. So I agree that, I don't know if breakout is the right word. I think he'll improve over last year, but
he played all of last year hurt. I mean, he had
that's true too.
That he never talked about and just played through it. So I mean, he was playing at less than 50% all of last year, except that first game where he got the sack and the interception. So I don't know if he carries that out through 16 games, but I hope so. I think he'll definitely be improved though, for sure. Yeah.
All right, so the next question, and we've only got a couple more here. Do we see more 12 or 11 personnel on Sunday? I think we'd see a ton of 12 personnel. Like we've been talking about, the middle of their defense is not going to be great, and throwing both Hunter Henry and Antonio Gates at them over and over again is going to be how they win this game.
Yeah, and they showed it a lot they didn't show it in preseason, but they showed it a lot in camp, which tells me at least that they want to drive that home. That's something they want to highlight. So they were practicing that a lot in camp. So I think overall they're going to run a lot more 12 personnel. Of course, they won't run it the whole time. But, yeah, like we said, I mean, the Chiefs' inside linebackers aren't great. Their outside linebackers can't cover for shit. So if you can get those guys and get Henry in matchups with Derek Johnson and Justin March and get them one-on-one, or even if you get them with Steven Nelson, even their third corner, those are matchups that they can win all day.
Yep.
All day. So, I think we'll see a lot more 12 than 11 personnel on Sunday.
Yep. All right. And then these next two questions are kind of related. They're Bosa questions. Frank the Tank asks if Bosa plays next week. I don't know if he plays next week. I think we're looking at probably week 3 or 4 before he suits up. I mean, the Chargers used it. This week was their 2 padded practice week, so they're not allowed to have. They're only going to have 1 fully padded practice next week, and I don't know if he plays on 1 padded practice. So like we said, hamstrings, they're so finicky and fragile, and they tend to linger around. So I think they really take their time and bring him on slow, and I think it'll probably be more till week 3, maybe week 4 before he gets in the game.
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, I thought he wouldn't get major minutes till week 4. If he doesn't practice in the padded practice next week, I don't think he plays for week 2 at all. And
Yeah.
he's got to at least get one padded practice before they just send him out in pads. They're not going to send him out week 2 for his first game action in the NFL in pads in real game action. They're not going to do that. They're going to want him to practice a little bit in pads and get used to it. And if he doesn't practice next week in pads, he doesn't play in week 2. If he ends up getting some work in, I think it's, maybe a 50-50 shot that they give him some, limited snaps. They kind of do what I think the Chiefs are going to do with Tom Ali and shuffle him in and out, maybe. But it's all going to depend on those padded practices. I mean, those have to add up before he starts hitting the field.
Yeah. I mean, I think worst case scenario, he'll be in week 4, the home game versus the Saints. And I just don't. I think that's probably a good target. I don't know if they rush him in for next week.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, when you look at this whole Bosa situation, there was no clear winner in this thing. I mean, whether you were on Team Chargers or Team Bosa or wherever you fall in this contract dispute, nobody won in this. I mean, even if Joey Bosa got his money and got 80%, and the Chargers didn't give him 100%, and if you thought one group won or the other over the other, I mean, at the end of the day, Joey Bosa isn't playing football. So Joey Bosa's career is suffering at the beginning of it, and now the Chargers aren't getting their number 3 pick, their first-round pick. They haven't had a top 5 pick in forever, and they finally get him, and he can't play real football. At the end of the day, nobody won. I mean, everybody lost in this thing, and it sucks, especially for fans.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's not even clear that he'll make the home opener for week 2 against the Jags, and that doesn't help anybody. This was a lose-lose situation that in our opinion could have been avoided, but
yeah, no, definitely, it definitely could have been avoided, and it didn't. But everybody stood their ground, and now look at where we're at. We're at fans, and everybody's watching in week 1, and the marquee player Joey Bosa isn't going to be playing on Sunday. I mean, what is that? What's the point of all that? This was worth it. Was it worth it? Yeah. And now we're looking at week 3 or 4 maybe to see Bosa. It sucks. It sucks all around.
It does suck. So last question we have here is thoughts on Carruthers as the future at nose tackle. And
what do you think?
No, honestly, I would not have been shocked if he got released, because he didn't look good at all this preseason. We kept wanting, it was weird because last year in real games against 1s and 2s, mostly 1s, he kept showing flashes, and he didn't even really flash this preseason. I mean, the 2s, 3s, and 4s were just blowing him off the mark. And I don't even know if he's on this team next year.
Yeah, I think you're right, though. Last year he showed flashes, and I thought he looked good, and I had high hopes for him this preseason. He's looked atrocious. And that third preseason game where he had got actual meaningful snaps, he was getting blown off the ball.
Yeah,
he was getting blown off the ball, and he didn't ever show up until the third quarter, maybe late second quarter, when second, third team offense was on the field. So,
and even then, it was just small flashes. He wasn't consistently winning against those guys.
Right. So I think honestly, there might be a chance that when Damian Square comes back, 90 is off. He's just gone. They're going to keep Square as the second nose tackle, and they'll run with Palapoy, and they'll run with the new kid they got from Detroit, and just. They'll just go, and Carruthers can just hit the streets. There's a real possibility that his days are numbered once week 5 comes around when Square's back.
Yeah, I could see that, because Square definitely showed way more than Carruthers even hinted at this preseason. So he's definitely expendable, and they don't have. I would say that if they're bringing back Square, nobody else is all that expendable. I mean, they're already going to have to drop another person on Monday when they activate Joey Bosa. So
I think they have till Saturday, and they probably won't activate Bosa Saturday.
Well, I think McCoy said that if they only have until after the first game to activate Bosa.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, he has to go on, either a PUP list or IR of some kind. So I think Monday they're going to have to release somebody, and then week 4 they're going to have to release somebody, and then they might have to release somebody else in week 6 when Chris Watt is eligible to come back off the PUP list. So, that's a good point. I don't even know if Carruthers makes the whole season on the team.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to shuffle some guys around coming up here soon. But I think once Bosa comes back, I think Kenneth Farrow, the running back, gets dropped down to practice squad, and they cut one of the practice squad players. And then, I think it's a real possibility that Carruthers is just gone. They just outright cut him.
Yeah, I agree with them. The dropping Farrow down to the practice squad. I think they could probably cut either of the tight ends that are on the practice squad and make room for Farrow.
Ooh, not Jake McGee. Not my boy Jake McGee, though.
Yeah, but they could probably get rid of Cleveland.
They can definitely get rid of Cleveland. And then that wide receiver they picked up, too. The guy I'd never heard of. But anyway, Jake McGee, I loved that.
Yeah, I remember you guys talking about him.
Oh, man, he's a sleeper and a half. I love they kept him. And if they end up cutting him, I'm going to be so upset. And we're just talking about practice squad players.
Yeah, now we're talking about practice squad players.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're talking about one of the tight ends goes down and Sean McGrath needs a replacement, let's pretend Sean McGrath goes down because we won't talk about Hunter Henry or Antonio Gates going down. But if they need another tight end, Jake McGee is legit. And in the limited snaps he had at Florida, he looked really good. So anyway, if you hadn't heard that name, man, get excited about Adrian McDonald. Get excited about Jake McGee.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that about does it. We've hit an hour, which I think is a good amount of time. We've hit on everything. So I guess we should wrap up with, let's go back over our predictions again. I said Chargers win a very close 24-23 game. And
I think they end up losing this game at the end of the day. But I think Hunter Henry has a great game. I think Antonio Gates has a great game. I think Hunter Henry's the third leading receiver, and I think Jason Verrett's the player of the game. I think that Alex Smith is going to have to go at Jeremy Maclin and try to get him touches. When they start trying to manufacture touches with Jason Verrett on the other side, it's going to be trouble. So he's going to get a pass breakup. He's going to get an interception. He's going to be the player of the game. Macklin's going to get a lot of catches. I mean, there's going to be volume there, but not a ton of yards.
Yeah,
bold prediction: don't start Jeremy Maclin if you have fantasy.
Yeah, and I think
unless it's a PPR. If it's PPR, then you'll get the points.
Oh yeah. But Verrett's like glue. I mean, he's not going to be very far behind, and his yards after catch are going to be absolute garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And I have him winning a close one, and I think it's officially time to.
I hope you're right.
Start getting on the Melvin Gordon hype train.
Yeah, man, he looked great in preseason.
And, much more decisive.
And this is the game. I mean, if he can get it started right now, and he can set the tone for the rest of the season, because this is not a great defensive line now with Houston and everybody we talked about.
Right.
Yeah, Holly and with Eric Berry being without a lot of game action. So there's going to be some real opportunities for him. So I do think Melvin Gordon has a good game. We both thought he would be the first one to score a touchdown. Well, I did. But we thought he'd at least score one touchdown.
Yeah, he'll at least get one, and I think he'll start finally winning back Mike McCoy, and McCoy finally start having some faith in him in the red zone, and stop having his carries sniped by somebody else.
Yeah. Let's hope that it's Melvin Gordon and not Andre Williams.
Oh yeah, I know.
Because he can't still snatch from Melvin Gordon. Just don't do that. Don't do that.
McCoy, if you're watching, and you're probably one of the 20 people watching. Thanks for tuning in. Don't take carries away from Gordon in the red zone and give them.
Yeah, especially not Williams. Well, even Woodhead. Don't give it to Woodhead either. Just give it to Gordon and let him do his thing.
Yeah, get that boy some confidence.
I mean, it's like they give as soon as they hit the 20-yard line, let Melvin Gordon run. And then when they hit the other 20-yard line in the red zone, it's Danny Woodhead. It's like, just give Melvin Gordon if he got you there, let him finish it off and finish his game and get some touchdowns. So I think
in between the 20s, they're running, I formation and 12 personnel and handing it off to Melvin Gordon. And then they hit the red zone and they're like, oh, now it's time for the shotgun. And Danny
shotgun trot with Danny Woodhead. Yeah, so Ken Wisenhunt won't make that mistake.
Yeah, please fix that, Ken. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We will be back again next week to do the same thing and continue for the rest of the season. Next week, I think we'll probably be joined by Daniel Stebbins, and we'll get this thing going. But thanks again for tuning in.
Yeah, I'll feel better too. I feel like shit, and I'm like, as you can see, I'm trying to kill it with beer here. trying to kill my germs. So I think a couple days off rest, I'll be better next time.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everyone, and have a good night. And let's go Chargers.
See you, everybody.